Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja
different. Here in New Zealand, you hike lots of breezes all the time. If it goes over 25 degrees, you suffer. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 24, Chanting the Song by Lord Shiva, Text 4. This is the part of Srimad Bhagavatam known as the Rudra Gita, the song of Lord Shiva. There are many Gitas within Bhagavatam. Brahmara Gita, the song of the bumblebee, Uddhava Gita, the instructions by Uddhava, from Krishna to Uddhava. What other Gitas? Ila Gita, yes. So this particular Gita, spoken by Lord Shiva, we're eager to hear, because as Srimad Bhagavatam, this chapter explains, when Vidura asked Maitreya, I've heard there was a conversation between the Prachetas and Lord Shiva. I'm eager to hear about it. This eagerness is a very essential development in our spiritual life. More than just hearing and chanting about Krishna because we have to take the medicine, we become eager, even addictive, and become intoxicated by hearing the glories of Lord Krishna. So Vidura is going to express to Maitreya Muni, please, I'm eager to hear. I hear that there's a conversation going on that went on between Lord Shiva, Rudra, and the Prachetas. It's got to be very important. I want to hear it. In the same way, the sages at Naimisaranya begged Sutta Goswami. You were there when Shukadeva Goswami spoke Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. Please, we're eager to hear what you heard. This is parampara. Eagerness to hear what you heard through parampara, evam parampara praptam, imam rajasya vidu. Krishna explains that this is how real human society works. It's guided by Rajarshis, saintly kings, who preserve the message, the instructions of Bhagavad Gita from generation to generation. So Bhagavad Gita is valuable because of who's speaking and who's listening. Krishna is speaking, and Arjuna is listening. So we chanted the invocation for Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Yagnaya Pura Vasishta Shapa Utpanna Guna Yoga Gatin Gata Pavaka Pavamanascha Shucha Yagnaya Pura Vasishta Shapa Utpanna Guna Yoga Gatin Gataha Pavaka Pavamanascha Shucha Yagnaya Pura Vasishta Shapa Utpanna Guna Yoga Gatin Gataha Vaishnavis, of the name Pavaka, Pavamana of the name Pavamana, Cha also, Shuchi of the name Shuchi, Iti thus, Agnaya the fire gods, Pura formerly, Vasishta the great sage Vasishta, Shapat, by being cursed, Utpanna, now born as such, Guna, again, Yogagatim, the destination of mystic yoga practice, Gita, attained. Translation. The three sons of Maharaja Antardana were named Pavaka, Pavamana, and Shuchi. Formerly, these three personalities were the demigods of fire. But due to the curse of the great sage Vasishta, they became the sons of Maharaja Antardana. As such, they were as powerful as the fire gods, and they attained the destination of mystic yoga power, being again situated as the demigods of fire. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that one who falls down from yoga practice is elevated to the heavenly planets, And after enjoying the material facilities there, he again comes down to the earthly planet and takes birth in a very rich family or a very pious Brahmana family. Thus it is to be understood that when demigods fall down, they come to earth as sons of very rich and pious families. In such families, the living entity gets an opportunity to execute Krishna consciousness and thereby gain promotion to his desired goal. The sons of Maharaja Antardana had been the demigods in charge of fire, and they regained their former position and by mystic power returned to the heavenly planets. Translation again. The three sons of Maharaja Antardana were named Pavaka, Pavamana, and Shuchi. Formerly, these great personalities were the demigods of fire, but due to the curse of the great sage Vasishta, they became the sons of Maharaja Antardana. As such, they were as powerful as the fire gods, and they attained the destination of mystic yoga power, being again situated as the demigods of fire. Om again Chivanandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bhagavatam is bridging between the description, the history of King Prithu. You know Prithu, the Shakti avatar. Jiva empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to demonstrate the characteristics of a perfect chief executive. So after King Prithu comes Vijatashva, who is also known as Antardana. We hear a very brief description of the rule of Antardana. You may wonder, why does Bhagavatam give this kind of information? Shouldn't we just all go straight to the 10th canto? But that is like immediately getting up into someone's face and you have no relationship. Bhagavatam study begins with the first canto, the lotus feet of the Lord, and then you work your way upward. That is the way of respect, and indeed that is the way of proper procedure. Part of personalism is, if you want to get to know someone, you follow that person's instructions. How to begin a relationship, how to advance in the relationship. It is true that those in advanced stages of bhakti can be preferential about what sections of Bhagavatam they focus on. But that comes after so much systematic study, canto by canto. It's not that there's a method to the madness. There's a method to spiritual progress, and that method is not madness. It's carefully prescribed by the Mahajanas, the great personalities who know Krishna. So we should consider what our stage of spiritual advancement is. Are we advanced enough that we can just focus on sections of the Bhagavatam that we feel spiritually attracted to? Do we have that kind of spiritual attraction? Or is it kind of like what they used to call puppy love? Like little children, when they're 6 or 7 years old, they play in school, and they say, oh, he likes you, or you like her. No one takes it seriously. So similarly, in the beginning stages of bhakti, we may say, oh, I'm attracted to Balaram. Or I simply think of Radha when we're just little children. If we do follow the proper procedure of studying Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, just like children become teenagers, similarly, our rati, our attraction for Krishna, becomes a development. But we have to follow the procedure. That's personalism. It is not an imposition upon us. Why do we have to proceed canto by canto? Why do we have to hear about Maharaja Vichitrashva Antardana? Why can't we just go right to Rasa Lila? But just like you're meeting someone for the first time, you just don't get up in their face and say, "Can you tell me about your partner?" How do you relate to your partner? First question out of your mouth. No, you proceed. Gradually, if the person will take you into their confidence, they may reveal something. But you don't force the issue. This is why in Bhagavatam it's instructed that not only do you begin with the first canto, the lotus feet of the Lord, but that's how you approach the deity and a saintly person. By looking at the feet, and then you raise your vision upward gradually. Of course, this all sounds so formal to many of us. You want to talk to someone, just get in their face. But everything in Bhagavatam is the height of perfect personalism. I remember when Srila Prabhupada walked into my office at the BBT. The one thing I knew that I did right was, as I was being introduced by the other devotees to Srila Prabhupada, I was just staring at his feet. And then gradually I lifted my eyes upward. And as I lifted my eyes upward to see Srila Prabhupada's face, he just let out a sound. That was all. I explained to him what was my service, working on his books, and he gave the head shake. So I often ask younger devotees, what would you do if your spiritual master only gave you a sound? If I would just do that to Somya Mai, she would just disintegrate or disappear or something. But Srila Prabhupada just gave me that long sound. Very difficult to imitate, so long and drawn out as he looked me up and down. Probably means this devotee really needs purification. So anyway, my point is, that was the one thing I did right when Srila Prabhupada walked into my office. I just stared at his feet and then gradually raised my vision. And that's how you should actually look at the deities. The deities are not a representation of the Lord in the spiritual world. Many times devotees have that misunderstanding that, okay, now I bow before the representation of Krishna. How the deity is directly Krishna takes some time to understand. But at least know what the knowledge says, and act on that knowledge. You pray to the deity, please let me see you. One day let me see you as you are. Bhakti is very deep. Whether it's about deities or the mystery of Srimad Bhagavatam and the 10th canto and the Rasa Lila chapter. Even Bhagavad Gita is so deep when compared to the shallow minds of today. What's happening in Bhagavad Gita in the first chapter? Don't think you're beyond Bhagavad Gita, please. Chapter 1, Arjuna is presenting such proper arguments to Krishna why he should participate in the battle. It's a family affair, he's explaining. We're all related. The enemy is the family. So if the enemy wants the kingdom, let them take it. It's still in the family. We're related. The Kauravas, the Pandavas. And he presents to Krishna that, isn't it so? Those who destroy the family tradition dwell in hell. Because Arjuna is concerned, as you may remember. If this battle goes on, and so many soldiers are killed, they'll leave families without a father, without a husband. And gradually, the family tradition will crumble, as we see what's happened today. There's no family tradition anymore. Society runs on the principle that no one will stay together their whole life. That's the underlying assumption. And the excuse given is, it's not like the 19th century when people would die at the age of 35, so they could marry at 12 and then 20 years later they're gone. Now we're living so long, how can you expect to stay with one person for 50 years? It's not within human capacity. That's the notion. So you stay together as long as you can, and then nowadays the thing is called a grateful separation. I thank you, but there's no more water in the well. And we've got to move on, explore new horizons. Let's just remember the good times. Let's not argue. This is so prevalent. If you want to know what the cutting-edge occupation is, it's booming in Australia. Divorce coach. How to help someone through a divorce. So the divorce coach holds your hand and gives you confidence. You can do it. You can break a leg. Here's how to do it. Here are the legalities. Here's the emotional support. The divorce coach gives you emotional support as you go through your separation. And then if things really get nasty, they give you the mantra, the special mantra. And when you leave him, don't get angry, get everything. So as we were explaining yesterday, how can anyone understand even Bhagavad Gita chapter 1 without guidance? Because Arjuna is standing up for the family tradition. Wait a minute, Krishna, just wait a minute. If I fight, not only do I kill so many of my relatives, but in the wake of their death, families will disintegrate. Children will have no father, wives will have no husband. I can't do this. And anyway, we're all the same family. Distant kinship relationships, but still one family. And what does Krishna say? You're speaking big words. Pragyavadam shabashate, but you're not very intelligent. How could this be? And Krishna reminds Arjuna, happy are those kshatriyas, those warriors, to whom opportunities come for a just battle, a battle that's fought according to Dharma, not like today where women and children are slaughtered. That's the first aim of battle, slaughter the women and children. The military strategy is that by terrorizing civilians by bombing civilians, they will appeal to their government leaders, stop the war, surrender, surrender, we can't handle all the suffering. That's the idea. So you would think, as what happened in Battle of Kurukshetra, just warriors fighting warriors in a distant location far from cities and towns, a solitary place. Even today, Kurukshetra is a solitary place, relatively speaking, for India, for something to be solitary. The civilians were not harmed. Now, in Kali Yuga, it's the opposite. Protect the military and let the citizens be destroyed. Because when the citizens are destroyed, then they'll appeal to their leaders. Surrender, surrender, anything, but no more bombs. We're being cut off, no food, no water, no electricity. Surrender, we can't take it anymore. That's the idea. It's Kali Yuga thinking. But here is Arjuna pleading with Krishna. No, we can't do this. It's a family affair. It'll destroy family tradition. I'll go to hell. And here's Krishna in chapter 2 saying, you'll go to heaven. You're a Vedic warrior involved in a battle based on Dharma. You'll go to heaven. And then how does Bhagavad Gita end? Chapter 18? Arjuna says, heaven or hell, I don't care. I'll act according to your instruction. Mama Nushma Yujocha. Krishna says, fight and think of me. So people have such difficulty understanding that. The involvement of Arjuna in the battle of Kurukshetra. What to speak of? 10th canto Rasa Lila. And then our own devotees. They turn to 4th canto. Well, what's this got to do with me? Vijitashva, the eldest son of Maharaj Prithu, also known as Antardhan. His wife was Shikandini. And now we hear about the sons of Maharaj Antardhan and Shikandini. 3 sons, Pavaka, Pavamana, and Shuchi. And look what happened to them. They were demigods, but then they were cursed by Vasishta. And they came down on earth. But by mystic yoga power, they revived their demigod status. And they regained their former position as demigods of fire by their mystic yoga practice. This is all beyond our puny understanding and our puny little world. What will be our destination? Bhagavatam is very destination conscious and seeks to impart that destination consciousness to you. Have you ever thought, what's your destination? Where are you going? But no, we are very busy with our affairs. The mundane world is so powerful, it occupies our mind and agitates our mind. Later, in the song sung by Lord Shiva in the prelude to that, we'll hear that a devotee's mind should be like a peaceful ocean. But as long as our mind is troubled by material desires, aspirations, material goals, the ocean of our mind will be agitated. And that's what you see happening throughout the world. Agitated ocean, everyone's mind is. No one can forgive, no one can turn the other cheek, no one can tolerate any insult. And so the world is quickly descending into more and more violence. In this situation, we need devotees with a peaceful mind. How is a devotee's mind peaceful? By contact with Krishna. How do you become in contact with Krishna? By the focused program of hearing about Krishna, chanting about Krishna. Kirtan, japa, Srimad Bhagavatam, coming before the deity, even if we have no realization that we're directly in the presence of the Supreme Personality of God, we can beg for that realization. What's the use in just closing yourself off and saying, just looks like stone to me, nicely dressed stones, I guess that's the way it's going to be. Why not have some aspirations? By reading Srimad Bhagavatam, you develop higher aspirations. And by associating with those who have higher aspirations, you also develop higher aspirations. So our process gives special emphasis to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of dedicated devotees. A dedicated devotee means one who understands the value, the incalculable value of the holy name, Srimad Bhagavatam, the Archa Vigraha, the deity form of the Lord. So as we mentioned yesterday, associating with devotees means associating with the hearing and chanting process. So what will our destination be? How many of us are thinking, what will be my next body? But here, you're reading about the sons of Maharaj Antadan. They were Devatas, but somehow they ran into some problem. They were cursed by Vasishta, and they took birth on earth, which for a Devata is considered a downgrade. And then Prabhupada points out in the purport what Bhagavad Gita 6th chapter says, Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Prasthapajayate. That if someone takes to bhakti, not simply bhakti, but any path of elevation, but this verse is especially applied to the bhakti yogis, but it can be for those developing mystic powers or good karma. And you slip up, you fail, you get a better birth. In the family of very pious brahmanas, Shuchi, or a very wealthy family, Shrivatam. And in this way, the idea is you get maximum facility to proceed with your spiritual life in your next life because of such a favorable birth. So now you may say, what happened to all the wealthy people in the world? Where are the bhaktas? This is the age of Kali. And you see, it is very dangerous to take birth again. So what's happened is that those who have taken birth in very wealthy families almost always don't care a fig about their spiritual advancement or helping anyone else to spiritually advance. They just accumulate more and more money. That becomes the goal of life. Money equals prestige, family respect. So this is what's happened. So therefore, it's very dangerous to take birth again in the age of Kali. It is only the chanting of Hare Krishna that saves us from all this constant degradation going all around. You're dealing with here, in this verse today, you're dealing with a very elevated form of degradation. Okay, these three personalities, the demigods of fire, they must be associated with Agni Dev in some way. They fell down because they were cursed. This shows you even in the heavenly planets, which are 10,000 times more intense in their material enjoyment than Earth, even there are problems. Even someone like Indra explains that here in the heavenly planets, we're all in anxiety. We could lose our position any moment. If you ever had a job and the word was out, any moment you're going to be made redundant, or the word is out, such and such fellow worker is vying for your post. It's happened to you? These persons want to take your position. There's anxiety. Similarly, in the heavenly planets, as Indra himself reveals in Srimad Bhagavatam, we're in constant anxiety about losing our position and falling down. As a teenager, my mother sent me to top elitist boarding school. Full scholarship plus living expenses. And I saw firsthand what the children of the most wealthy families in America and Canada, what they were like. They were not happy. One minute they would seem cheerful, the next minute, oh, if I'm not as successful as my parents, what will become of me? Oh, if I don't attend the right university like my parents, I'll be falling back. I won't be continuing the family prestige. And so they were in anxiety constantly. It was hard for me to understand. Look, you got it made. Your dad's worth $500 million. What's the problem? They didn't see it like that. They felt that I'm not attaining the level of my parents. They had their expectations. I'm not fulfilling that. So they were always loaded with anxiety. Until what happened? The hippie days came. And then they were happy. Oh, just drop out, just do anything you like. And free love, free drugs, free this, free that. So that was the end of it. Of one kind of anxiety, and of course, simply leave yourself open for other kinds of anxieties. Because this is Kunta. The material world is a place of anxiety. This is not Vaikuntha, in case you haven't noticed. Here in New Zealand, we tend to get very complacent until the ground starts shaking. We feel we're far away from so much of the commotion in the world. We're far away from the Middle East. We're far away from Ukraine. Here we are, comfortably situated in New Zealand. We just have to tolerate a few shakings of the ground. And Thursday was National Earthquake Awareness Day, but anyway, who pays attention to that? We forget we're in a world of constant danger and anxiety. But even in the heavenly planets, there's such a prevalence of anxiety. Who is trying to become Indra? Who's taking my post? Indra's concerned. That's why he gave so much trouble to Prithu. Stealing the horse for the sacrifice because Prithu was going to do 100 Ashwamedha yajnas. And Indra had that reputation, and he was also concerned if he does 100 of these yajnas, he could take my post. So there's always fear throughout the universe, and also there's always sex attraction. As Srila Prabhupada will explain, even amongst Indra, Brahma, Shiva, there's sex attraction. What to speak of on earth. An intelligent devotee is always concerned about fall down. Krishna said, because Arjuna asked Krishna, tell me, someone gives their all in all to bhakti, or even to some kind of path of elevation, and then they get deviated by worldly mindedness. They become caught up in the illusory energy. They stumble from the path of self-realization. What becomes of them? And Krishna explains. They take birth in a very suitable family in the next life. Suitable meaning facility for making further spiritual advancement, unimpeded by so many usual material obstacles. But there's a danger in taking birth in Kali Yuga. You may take birth in a Brahmana family, but you may become like Ajamil, degraded. You may take birth in a wealthy family, but then you just get lost in your opulence. So our program is to do our best not to take birth again. So you have to think, what is your destination? Where are you aiming for? Where do you think you're going to wind up? Oh, I don't know. Krishna's mercy will be on me somehow. We're meant to go back to Krishna. That is not a material desire. It's nothing related to a material desire. Lord Chaitanya explains in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna Bhakta Nishkam Ataiva Santa Mukti Mukti Siti Kami Sakaleya Santa. You can be a mystic yogi, you can be a Gandhi, a personalist, you can be an expert, pious worker, an expert at fruitive activity. You can't be peaceful until you simply desire to please Krishna's senses. Only then can there be peace in your life. Other than the Krishna Bhakta, no one has lasting or real peace. The mind is always agitated. I want mystic powers. I want the heavenly planets. I want material enjoyment. I want to merge into the oneness. Always some ulterior motive. A motive except for pleasing Krishna. The desire to please Krishna does not agitate the ocean, doesn't materially agitate the ocean of a devotee's mind. Because someone may say, isn't the desire to go back to Godhead, isn't that an agitation? No. A devotee can desire to go back to Godhead while being satisfied in whatever situation Krishna puts the devotee. So yes, we want to revive our attraction for Krishna. Let us not forget that. What's our program to do that? We shouldn't get so absorbed in our daily affairs, the minutiae of our daily affairs, that we forget we're meant to be developing attraction for Krishna. It's true that at least by whatever progress in bhakti we've done, we're guaranteed a human form of life. That's generally the case. But is that the extent of your aspiration? Well, I chanted Hare Krishna, I did some service for some time, but I decided to move on, or that was when I was a young devotee. Isn't this bhakti process mainly for young devotees? And then when you're older, you can just do your own thing, and Krishna understands. And anyway, no matter what I do, I'm guaranteed a human birth. No, we have to do the work. We have to do our preparation. Even if you take birth in a family of devotees, so many of you have children born in your families. It's one thing to be born in a family of devotees. It's another thing to make the conscious choice to be a devotee. So these children that you see dancing in kirtan, which is glorious, they're eternal, it's to their eternal credit. At some point, when they get older, it's not an automatic conveyor belt they're on, okay? You took birth in the fortunate family of, let's say, Dharma Setu Prabhu and Karna Karnadini. You took birth in that family. All your decisions have already been made for your Krishna consciousness. No. At some point, the child has to make a conscious choice. I want to be a devotee. Naturally, taking birth as Jai Shila's son or daughter gives you maximum opportunity, but you still have to make the choice to take advantage of your circumstances. And that conscious choice by the child may not be made until the child's 40 or 50 or 60. So we need to make, as adults, we need to make our conscious choice constantly. Where am I going? Looking at my activities today, my lifestyle right now, where am I heading to? So this purport is telling us about what happens when demigods fall down. They come to earth as sons of very rich and pious families. The next verse, since you won't be here, many of you tomorrow morning, talks about how, 2 verses from now, how Antardan didn't like his royal duties. He had to do taxes, pull taxes out of the citizens. He had to punish citizens. He had to fine them very severely sometimes. He just thought, this is not for me. He decided, let me pull out, and I'll just do Vedic yajnas. But he was very clever. While doing all these apparently ostentatious, pretentious, showy Vedas, Vedic sacrifices, that is, he was actually engaging in devotional service. He was wrapped in ecstasy and attained the planet. He attained Vishnu Loka very easily, it says. So sometimes what service we do becomes a bit austere. I've seen this happen to devotees many times. You take up a service, you hit some obstacle, and then, why? Why are there these obstacles when I'm serving Krishna? Can't you see that? Can't everyone see that? They don't seem to understand that my way of serving Krishna is the best way. They don't get it. And I've seen devotees, they hit a wall. That's it, no more service. I tried to serve Krishna, this happened, that happened, no one understood my sincerity, but they didn't understand that my plan was the most brilliant. That's it, no more service. And sometimes they sideline themselves like that for a lifetime. There are other devotees. I aspire for the dust of their lotus feet. They're always finding a way to engage in Krishna service. Whether someone notices or not, they're over. Where's the service? Where's the service? It can be just picking something up off the floor. Where's the service? Where's the service? I'm so envious of those kind of devotees, I admit. They spontaneously flow toward any service opportunity, big or small. They see everything as a big opportunity to please Krishna. But in the case of Maharaj Antardan, evidently it was a good thing for him to step back. He didn't have that Ishvara bhava. Kshatriyas have to have that bhava of controlling. And he didn't have it, evidently. Or he had it, but he wanted to move on and do something else. He couldn't really handle the day-to-day, shall we say, grind of wielding executive power, taxing, punishing, fining. So he resigned. He retired. This description in the Bhagavatam is preparing you for the prachetas. They're coming in the line of Maharaj Antardan. And what did the prachetas do? They, upon the order of their father, spent 10,000 years in meditation. Where did they do that? In the depths of the ocean. Why would someone do 10,000 years in the depths of the ocean? This is their way of finding a secluded, peaceful meditation spot. Generally, such persons would go to the Himalayas, but the prachetas chose the ocean, in case you're wondering why they're there. They wanted a sanctified, peaceful atmosphere for their meditation. You don't have to do that. I don't know if anyone here is capable of 10,000 years in solitude, whether in the Himalayas or in the ocean. I don't know if anyone here is capable of 10 days in solitude. But we get the same benefit, even though we're not in such a yuga, where people live for 100,000 years, so it was nothing to spend 10,000 years in samadhi. We're not in such a yuga. Except for extremely rare cases, we won't live to 100. All we're asked to do is chant the Hare Krishna mantra. And as we explained yesterday, that chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is Lord Chaitanya's concession. So we've already got all understanding. We want to be understood. Oh, Krishna, don't you understand how hard it is to be a devotee these days? There's so much disturbance, so much distraction, so much anxiety, financial pressures, this pressure, that pressure. Krishna, don't you understand how hard it is? Yes. That's why Lord Chaitanya says, special concession, special deal. Just chant Hare Krishna. And what do we say? No time. But I believe in Krishna, even though I don't chant. I believe in Krishna. Lord Chaitanya does not ask for your belief in Krishna. He asks you to move your tongue and vibrate the Hare Krishna mantra. And we're so fallen we can't do that. Oh no, you don't understand. I have relationship problems, I have work problems, children, this, that. I can't chant Hare Krishna. Oh Krishna, give us something else. You understand. There's nothing more to be had than the holy name of Krishna. We want to beg Krishna for the understanding, the experience, that just as the deity is not representing the Supreme Lord, the deity is the Supreme Lord. Similarly, Krishna's name is the presence of Krishna. Aspiration is so necessary. Who wants to be in a relationship with someone who's wooden-headed and insensitive? Everyone dreams of being in a relationship with someone who's always thinking about, what are you thinking? How are you feeling? You want to be with someone who's aspirational. I aspire to get to know you better. I aspire to understand what you like. And then we say, yes, this is what life is meant for. This is what Krishna is meant for. Our deepest, most sincere aspirations. I want to get to know Krishna. I want to develop a love for Krishna. And yes, I want to go back to Godhead. That kind of desire doesn't agitate the ocean of the mind. So we're going to be introduced to the Prachetas, and they're going to meet Lord Shiva, who is attracted by the Prachetas' good qualities. All right, any questions? Yes.
I've got a question here. So I've got a few little parts, but I wanted to ask you, what is sincerity? What's its components? And how do you increase it? How do you lose it? And how do you get it back?
Sincerity means, although I'm conditioned, I want to please Krishna and Krishna's devotee. And you try to associate with those who have that desire. It's a very easy to lose desire due to the contamination that's omnipresent all around. That's why a Vaishnava, a Krishna Bhakta, is instructed to watch out for your association. If you associate with those in illusion, you become affected. If you associate with those who want to go back to Godhead, you'll be affected in that way. So you shape your life as best you can. That's being sincere. You shape the circumstances and association in your life as best you can for providing maximum incentive for going back to Godhead. Sometimes that means tolerating this, tolerating that. But you want to get to your destination. Just like after almost 50 years of airplane travel, I can tell you, I don't like it. But why am I on the plane? To get to the destination. If we forget about our destination, where we're supposed to go, what will our next destination be? We're very careless and negligent. Living in Kali Yuga, people tell you, all this talk about what's your next destination, what's your next body, that's meant for the non-productive people, for the unemployed. They're the only ones with time to think, what's the meaning of life? Everyone else just gets into it. Make money, have relationships. Who has the time or necessity to worry about these existential questions of what's the meaning of life? What will my next destination be? You get a job. Make some babies. Do something. And if you ever have a few moments to think about what's the meaning of life, you know the answer. There's no meaning. So just get on with your money making, get on with your relationship making and breaking, and that's the way it is. This is why we have the association of devotees, to remind us, because it's so easy to forget. Forgetfulness is the rule in material existence. We were speaking yesterday about indebtedness, how it's a wonderful thing to feel indebted to Srila Prabhupada, to the devotees. How would we have ever found out about Krishna without Srila Prabhupada? And Srila Prabhupada and what he's given to his devotees, and they're passing it on. We're indebted. Indebtedness means some obligation. Just like families, they would like that their children feel indebted for the parents having done so much for them. Sometimes, though, in Kali Yuga, the parents don't want the children to feel indebted. No, let them live their life. I was speaking to my mother, who lives in the vicinity, within a 10-minute drive of so many children, grandchildren, this, that, the other. And so I said, so she's living alone. I said, why don't you have them help you? She said, they do invite me to come stay with them. I said, why don't you go? I don't want to interfere with their life. I want them to have independence. I don't want them to feel that I'm an imposition on their life. That's the way it is in Kali Yuga. You don't want to feel obligated to anyone, and you don't want anyone to feel obligated to you. You want to be free. I said, well, why are you saying like this? While you are saying like this, you say you're lonely. Why don't you just go stay with your relations? No, they have their lives. I don't want to be an imposition. I don't want to be a burden. In Bhakti, however, we recognize our indebtedness and we act on it. We express gratitude. So we were emphasizing yesterday, whoever has helped you in your spiritual life, not just Guru Dev, but anyone who's helped you in any kind of so-called small way, never let them forget it. Walk around in a sense of bhakti wonder. Who dressed the deities today? Be very eager to find out who did this for Krishna's service, who did that for Krishna's service. I was speaking to Krishnavraja Prabhu before the deity reading, and I didn't know. So I asked him, that lasagna-like cheesy preparation yesterday was really good. Who made it? He confessed that he did. I didn't mean to risk puffing him up. Who made that? I thought it was going to be someone else, and he kind of, in his Krishnavraja, very gentle way, he revealed that he had made it. So this is how bhakti comes alive. You can always focus on the problems, the disputes that devotees have sometimes. Why did he do this? Why did she do that? Unbelievable. You can go on and on and on like that for centuries. But if you start to open your eyes to the bhakti wonders, who did this service? Look at that. How did that happen? You hear the stories of devotees' sacrifice, what they've done to try to please Srila Prabhupada, try to please their spiritual master, try to please Krishna. You get a sense of wonder. The gratitude opens up a door to an ever-increasing wonderland. You see bhakti mega events everywhere. So I beg the devotees, please take this seriously, establishing a gratitude culture or deepening it. It's an easy way to make such a difference in your home, in your ashram, in your yatra. Anything else? Yes? general question you've raised. I can't really answer. Except that living in this material world in a material body is in of itself an obstacle. Therefore, we need to be guided by our spiritual master so we understand what impedes bhakti and what accelerates bhakti. Otherwise, why accept a spiritual master? Just have a picture on your shelf? Jai Gurudev. Anyway. I do my own thing. As I explained yesterday, not everyone's a real disciple. Whether for Srila Prabhupada or for whoever, not everyone's a real disciple. Many can have this official status, but never try to deepen the relationship. They don't actually know what a guru is for. Some even mistakenly think the guru is meant to solve all my material problems. I got employment problems, I got marriage problems, I got this, I got that. So in every situation of obstacle, you can always consult. Something is blocking me, I think, from advancing in bhakti. That's what Arjuna did to Krishna. Shishnasteham sharimam tvam prapanyam. Oh Krishna, friendly talks are over. I'm your student. Please instruct me. I can't see any good out of my situation. I can't see the way forward. Karpanya dosha papata swabhava. Prichami. I'm confused, I'm bewildered. I've lost my intelligence due to weakness. You please instruct me. That's spiritual life. Because this material world, guess what? This material world is a bewildering place. So we need to know what to do in such bewildering circumstances. Anything else? Yes?
You mentioned it's about deepening our relationship with the spiritual master. So wondering how we can deepen our relationship with the Guru.
Just like the Prachetas meditated deeply on the instructions of Lord Shiva, a real disciple meditates on the instructions of the spiritual master. Look at the example, the perfect example of Srila Prabhupada. In his early 20s, he was instructed by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to take bhakti knowledge all over the world, especially the English-speaking world. In Prabhupada's own words, he didn't act on that until 40 years later, but he never stopped thinking about prayer. In his humility, that's why he said he was giving sannyas to so many young men. 20, 21 years old. He was saying, don't wait like I did. Don't wait until you're old. Put your energy now into Krishna service. Of course, gradually it became known that young men in their 20s, not yet ready for sannyas. But Prabhupada was operating in emergency circumstances, trying to get something going out of nothing. He came to New York, and for 1 year had 0 followers, 0 help. Coming from the heat of India to winter in New York City, where the snow piles up and the wind is coming off the Atlantic Ocean and blowing. No assistants, no followers for 1 year. But he was always meditating on the order of his spiritual master. I remember in my late teens, I would wander in that area of 26 2nd Avenue, which is 19 or so. I kept thinking, there's something in this area for me. I can't kind of find it. But either it wasn't time for me or I wasn't ready for it. But I kept returning to that area. I just walk around in that area of 26 2nd Avenue. Something is here for me. Something is here. Of course, I didn't know anything more than just the music clubs in the area. But still, I had this feeling, I should move to this area. There's something here for me. Of course, I couldn't do that because I was at university. An hour and a half away. So just think, Srila Prabhupada with no one to help him. Yet he's always meditating on the instructions of his guru. He said that he had no expectation whatsoever of making a breakthrough in the USA. He said he honestly felt that as soon as he spoke about the regular principles, everyone would just laugh and say, "Go home, get on the boat." That was his feeling, that's the response, that's what it's going to be. But still, I'm sent here by my guru, let me try. It was very discouraging for 1 year. He would go to the office of the shipping company for the Jaladuta that brought him from Calcutta to the USA. He would go every few months. When's the next boat leaving? But he didn't go. He didn't board, he didn't return. Until he had something established. So in this way we feel indebted to Prabhupada's mission. It's not that we're organizational freaks. Organization, institution. That's not the motivation. The motivation is to carry on what Srila Prabhupada's given us because of indebtedness. Why do we need the institution? Why do we need the organization? We feel gratitude. And when you feel gratitude, you want to pay back your debt. So sometimes some devotees have this misunderstanding that the disciples of Prabhupada still remaining in this world have some fetish, have some love for institutions in of themselves. That's not true. But we have love for Srila Prabhupada, and we want to carry on what he gave us. And he said, stick together. It's difficult. It's difficult for us to stick together. But because of Prabhupada's desire, we try to do it. Sometimes there are arguments. We don't see things the same way. But those arguments happen at home, right? What married couple here has never had arguments? But you, for the sake of the marriage, you stick it out. You stick together. So this is what the ISKCON leaders are up to. They're trying to stick together for the sake of Prabhupada's order. Not that they are addicted to institutions in of themselves. I just love institutions. I just love organizations. I always wanted to be part of a religious organization. Get real. We're We're just trying to carry on Prabhupada's desire. The desire of the Father, the Founder Acharya. Father for us, Founder Acharya for most of you. We're just trying to fulfill his desire, to stick together. So that is meditating on the instructions of the spiritual master. Yes.
Good. Just thinking in terms of my own experience with bhakti.
Speak louder, please.
In terms of my own experience in bhakti, there's been many instructions that have been given, and some of them I've been able to fulfill and try to complete, but the majority, unfortunately, haven't been able to follow through on, or even given it enough attention. And it can be a bit sort of debilitating, like and so how do we, but then, I think about Srila Prabhupada and how he took many years, decades to fulfill the instruction he was given, which gives hope. And so how do I remain enthusiastic?
You're aspirational. Whatever instructions you got, you don't forget, and you keep thinking, how to do this, how to do this. Household life has its necessities, everyone knows. You keep meditating on the instructions and look for every opportunity to carry them out. Don't just push it all aside. What's the use? Too difficult, impossible. Just think how it could be done. Be watching, waiting for opportunities. A constant meditation. That's what the Prachentas are doing with the instructions of Lord Shiva. But if you just push aside your bhakti training, that was what before I was married, and so now I'm in a different world, and so he brought up the example of Srila Prabhupada. He said there was never a time when he forgot the instructions of his guru. Out of his humility, he said, I didn't do anything until I was in my 60s. Out of his humility, he said that. Other times, he said, don't think I was in Vrindavan doing nothing. I was waiting for the right time to come. Sometimes it's said that if he had landed in America during the 1950s, he would have found a different country. Everything was very conservative, very stodgy. But he came during a time of massive upheaval amongst the young people. Vietnam War. The young people were so disturbed they could be shipped off to fight in the jungles of Vietnam in a war that they didn't even understand. Why is this war? Same in Australia. I don't know about New Zealand. Kalasambra can tell you. But in Australia, the Aussies are being shipped off to fight in Vietnam. Was it like that here? Well, the Kiwi said, no way. So we have Vietnam War veterans in New Zealand?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm. So in the USA, unless you had an exemption by attending university, which was not as common as it is now, to attend university, you were into the army. You could try to dodge the army by joining the Air Force. You You figured it would be better flying planes. But you had to have a bit of brain for that. So if you were a young person, as soon as you turned 18, you had to register for military conscription. And you could be sent off to the jungles of Vietnam, malaria, and 50,000 American youth died in Vietnam, and they can't figure out what the purpose of the war was today. So Prabhupada came during this time of massive demonstrations by the young people. The whole country was just plunged into questioning the system, questioning what is life. And then on top of that, there was the big rock music explosion, psychedelic this, psychedelic that. It was a time of total, amongst the youth, total breakdown of any norms, of any standards. What do the adults know? Everything should be free, free drugs, free sex, free this, free that. Never trust anyone over 30. We never thought we'd become over 30. It was a time of massive upheaval amongst the young people. And the older generation were very angry. What's happening? What's happening? So into that storm came Srila Prabhupada and took all that energy of the young people and focused it on going back to Godhead. So he said, I was waiting for the right time to come. Don't think I was doing nothing in Vrindavan. He was writing his books and waiting for the right moment to come to the USA. Why didn't he go to London, where so many of his godbrothers, not so many, a few, superficially seemed to have tried to do something? He said, my godbrothers, they went to London and they failed. They never made an endeavor to do the hard yaka. He said, so I thought, they failed in London, let me go fail in a different place. I'll go to New York and fail there.